Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Big P here from Reinstallation Performance. So today basically the Rolls-Royce Silver Spirit has developed a problem with the speedometer, and the mileage doesn't seem to be going up and it doesn't show what speed you're going. So what we're going to do today is we're going to remove the wooden dash panel and take out the speedometer, or the clock as I will be referring to it as, for further investigation, and then we'll take it from there and see how it goes. But firstly, I would just like to thank everyone for all your support that we've had in the channel so far. We became YouTube partners this week, which is absolutely fantastic. So going forward it's looking good, and hopefully we should be able to produce a bit more content now that little bit of revenue will be coming in for us as well, so that'll be absolutely great. So let's get on with this. I've got loads more coming on with the Rolls-Royce, so we're going to take this speedometer out today and check it, and I'll go through how you remove this dash panel and common mistakes that people make when they're doing it, and what you need to do and how you need to do it. So we'll take from there. So guys, if you focus on this area here, this is the panel we need to remove. Firstly, it has 1, 2 and 3 flathead screws, and the main problem is these things, the push for the vents. Common mistake a lot of people make is putting a set of pliers around this and trying to turn it, and when you do that you end up ruining all the chrome on this. And you don't actually have to force it to open or anything. What there is on this is underneath here, you'll see there's a little hole which has a little grub nut, and for that grub nut you need a Allen key. Now I've got my set here, it's quite an old set, but I managed to find a piece in here. I went through loads of Allen keys that I had, but the size you need is this here, and it says it's wrong one. So this is the piece, and it says it's a 1/16. So that's the piece there, 1/16. You may actually get an Allen key in that size as well, but even if you can get one of these bits that come in the sets, this is a 1/16, and this will fit right into here. And grab this little grub nut, which we'll just do now. You'll find the holes right at the front, just where you put your fingers, and be a little bit careful not to lose that grub nut, and just keep unscrewing it until you can feel it ease off, and then eventually that grub nut will just come out, and that's the grub nut there on the end of the fitting. And as you can see, it's quite small, so you need to have a little packet or something that you're going to put all this in, which I'm just going to go and grab now. Right, so I've just gone and got myself a plastic tub here. I'll chuck the grub nut in there like that, we don't lose it, and we'll put that there. You lose one of them, mate, and your life's over. So once that grub nut's out, this piece slides straight off, and you can see there, if I can focus on that there, you can see there's a little hole in there, which is where that grub nut goes. So we're going to put that in the plastic box as well, and we'll continue. And you can put a screwdriver on the end of this if they're really tight, but I found that it was quite easy just to do it with your hands. There you go, so that one's loosened off as well straight away. And I think with this size, this 1/16, it's the perfect size, because it just slides straight in. I did try quite a few Allen keys and they didn't exactly do it. And there's that one off as well. There's that grub nut there, which you probably can't see because it's tiny. And that's that one off as well. So we'll put that Allen key in there as well. And now we'll move on to these flathead screws. And just get the right head for the screwdriver. Okay, and that seems pretty loose anyway. Not quite the right head, that one. It's a little bit thick. See if we got something a little bit thinner. Always nice to have one of these sets. You can buy these from Screwfix for about £5, and it has a lot of different screwdriver bits in and Allen keys and whatnot. And when you're removing these screws, be extra careful that when you remove it, you don't actually lose that little washer that's on them. And also be careful you don't scratch the wood, because it's quite easy to slip off there and scratch the wood grain there, which is what you don't want, because once you make a little scratch in there, eventually that lacquer will peel and it'll end up bubbling up and it'll become something you don't want. But there you can see that screw, and it has that tiny little washer on it. And put that back in the box as well so we don't lose it. We've got one more screw here. What I tend to do is just loosen them a little bit with the screwdriver, and then just put your fingers on it so that it doesn't sort of fall into the carpets and end up in the infinite universe and you never ever find it again. I think that's just crazy how sometimes something can drop in your car but you'll never find it again. It's amazing. Don't know how it happens, but there you go, another screw there. We'll put it in there. Taking care that we don't lose these little washers, because they actually do a good job of holding this wood in place. And obviously if they're not on and you put the screws back on whilst the car is driving, that wood will have some movement in it and it will cause the screw to slowly chip away at the lacquer, which is what you don't want. And these washers are the perfect size, and if you look at the wood grain in everywhere, it's actually like countersunk, which allows this countersunk washer to sort of sit in it. It's like a cup shaped washer, which is lovely. But yeah, now that that's all off, this should free off. So what I tend to use is always, if you got some of these plastic, lift this dash a little bit and just see if you can pry this forward a little bit. Being extra careful. There's actually another panel here that I didn't realise that we need to remove. So if I just get a small screwdriver just to remove that. Yeah, so this there's a little plastic piece here, which I don't know if you can see it from there, but it goes up like this, and there's 3 of these little plastic cups covering the screws. So I just used a flathead screwdriver to drop them out, put them in the plastic box as well, and then it's a Phillips screwdriver. They're Phillips screws. So if we just remove these 3 screws here, can't miss it, it's right on the end here, and it's screwed to this trim which goes around. Them are the screws there, just normal Phillips screws, which will drop in the box. There's 3 of them. There's one at the bottom next to the oil level button, and there's 2 now. That one looks like it's at some point been a bit cross-threaded. So I'm going to try a different bit on it, because look, somebody whilst they were removing it seems to have threaded it a little bit. So I'm going to try, and the number 2 in this seems to be a very good fit, so I'm going to try it with the number 2. Back there for a second. Yeah, that's grabbed it. Sometimes when people use the wrong screwdriver, one too small or one too big, it'll just thread the end of these a little bit, but the the number 2 in the screwdriver bits is perfect for that. You can see it sits in there beautiful. It's a great grip, and it's took that right out, whereas this screwdriver, because it was a little bit bigger, didn't actually grab it. But that should free this piece off, and there you go. That's that piece of trim that was holding that corner in. So now with a little bit of luck, hopefully should be able to get this panel out. There you go, that's freed it off. I think if you just see, it sits in this bit of leather here at the bottom, so you kind of have to pull it forward and lift it, and once it lifts, it sort of frees off that bit of resin, and there you go. That's your wooden trim there. I would say put this somewhere where nobody's going to touch it, and I think the best place for that is up here, because you don't want to leave it somewhere and it ends up cracking or something like that, because it's not going to be cheap to replace that, is it? So now we're going to take this out here, the speedometer, and there it's held in by 4 Phillips screws, which are quite small. You can see there, they're about 1 centimeter long. Quite a small screw. We'll put that in the box as well. You must get yourself one of these boxes, keep everything in. Right, so that one now down there, it's at a very peculiar angle, quite hard to get to, but this screwdriver is quite flexible, so hopefully we should be able to get into it. No, doesn't want to go, so we're going to try some else to loosen the other ones off a bit. I'll try it with just this. Now, I always seem to forget how the Rolls-Royce doesn't seem to have any steering rake adjustment, because if it did, I could have dropped this down and I'd have been right in there, but it doesn't have that. So now I need to go and find something else to do this with, so if you just bear with me a second. Right then, so what you need, I've got this little set here, which is a sort of stubby ratchet set where you can put a screwdriver bit in the one side, so I've put that in there. You can normally have a socket which allows these screwdriver sets to go in, so even if you've got something like that, it just needs to be quite thin to get into here. And as you can see, Rolls-Royce totally haven't thought about us here. And I mean, I guess if you had a really thin Phillips screwdriver, you may be able to get to it, because you can sort of just see it there. You might just grab it from there, but you're just going to have to trial and error with getting that bottom screw out. And I have managed to put this socket, and we'll just loosen it off with this. That's loosened it off. Should be able to get with it with the head now. That's it. And there's only about 5 turns to do, but there's a little void down here, so you need to be careful. I just keep my finger under the screw, because the last thing you want to do is lose that in there, because you'll never find that again. And there you go, there's that screw there. So put that one in there as well. Funnily enough, that one didn't have a washer on it, which tells me that somebody's taken this off before and lost that washer somewhere, because that screw didn't have a washer and the other 3 have. Unless at Rolls-Royce on production, one of the mechanics didn't bother putting a washer on the one. Only God knows. So now we'll just remove that last screw at the top. I'm doing it with my fingers again. There it is. Pop that in there. I'll pop that screwdriver bit in there as well. And then we should be able to just pull this straight out. And there you go. And on here, there seems to be quite a few switches. I'm going to try and loose this loom off a little bit so that you can see what we're doing. Now, what I would do before removing this is get your phone out and just take a few photos of the colours of the wires on which terminal, and like that, when you're going to put it back on, you'll know what goes where. Otherwise, I'm quite clever like that, and I'll end up putting all the wires on the wrong way. And then we can start to remove these one by one. And all you got to be careful as well also, there's two green wires here, so you may get them mixed up. Just remember which one goes on which. This is green and grey, and I think I'll just take another photo of that a bit closer up so I know that the green and grey goes there. Now they may not matter, but I'd rather see that's green and yellow, which is at the bottom, and I'll take a photo of that so we don't get the two green wires mixed up, and that's green and grey at the top. And they may not matter, but it's best to put everything back on the way it was. Alright, so that's that, and then this one here, off that. And then take these three out, like that, and that's it. Right, so what we're going to do now that we've removed this, we're going to take it inside and open it up and see what we can make of it, and we'll take it from there. So let's take this inside and we'll take it from there. So guys, I've brought the clock inside now. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus the camera onto the bench and start opening this up. I don't exactly know what to expect, but this is more of an investigation and fix video, so we'll see how it goes. We'll open it up and we'll see what we can make out of it, and obviously as long as everything's in there, is moving and working, then we know it's all good, and if it's not, then we know there's an issue. So I'm going to focus this now onto the bench, and so that you can see what I'm doing rather than see me, and then we'll take it from there and see how it goes. Alright guys, so we've got it on a bench now, so I'll just put a piece of cloth down just so you don't damage anything. Now, I've already started this before I started recording, because it's taken me about half an hour to slowly prise this here. You have to use a flathead screwdriver, and all the way around you have to basically prise all this away. You got to be quite careful because there's glass under there and you can easily break that. So it does come away, but you do have to play with it for about half an hour. But I've got that off now, and bent a little bit there, which I'm going to tap out after. But it's on in such a peculiar way that it was an absolute nightmare to take it off. But anyway, now that we've done that, we're going to take these two screws out here, which hold the face in. Not the best screwdriver top really, to be honest. It's a very thin screw, that is. And, I'm just going to see if I've got something better. So I managed to find another screwdriver which is a little bit better at getting these out. And, just loosen them up a little bit, and then you should be able to get them with your fingers. Quite small screws. Should be able to get them now. They are tight though. go. Be careful not to damage this face, because that's what you're going to be looking at all the time. Maybe I guess it would be a good opportunity to upgrade this now if you wanted to. I'm not sure if they do any different types of speedometer fascias of a Rolls Royce. I'll have to have a look into it. Right, so that's them 2 screws out. So we'll drop that screw there as well so we don't lose it. And this needle here, you just lift it straight out and you just pop it there. Be careful with that. And as you can see, this is all a bit loose now. So if you just lift that face out, being extra careful. And there's that plastic plate stuck to the back of that. If that doesn't come out with it, then that will have to come out as well, but it seems to be stuck to the back of mine, so we'll leave that there. And then there's, as you can see here, you've got your speedometer set up there, and you've got these 2 plastic lights. Right, so there's two lights here, which normally you would take them out to get access, but they seem to be quite heavily glued in on this unit. As you can see here, there's been glue sort of all stuck into these. Now I'm going to take, this is the unit we're concerned with, so I'm going to take this out, and hopefully I should be able to slide it out with those in place so that we don't have to mess with them. So if they do slide out on yours, then yeah, do it, and if they don't, then you're gonna have to do what I'm doing and just leave them in. Alright, there's 4 screws here now, which we're gonna take out. And that screwdriver has failed and dropped on the floor and left me miserably. So we will now revert back to an old screwdriver, lovely red over here, and take these out. Now guys, don't feel the pressure to do this at home. You can always send it off to a specialist and have it redone. There is companies out there who do them online, but I just love to have a go at it, so that's why I'm trying it, and so far seems so good, and haven't broke anything yet. So let's see. That's them 4 screws out, and now this here, right, so we've managed to get that out without removing those, so I would just leave them in and it should be okay. So that's that thing there, we'll leave that. Now if you see here, that's interesting. This is what we're concerned with. You see this cog here? It seems to be broken from here. Now I'm assuming if you look at that cog there, there's some parts on there which are broken, and I'm assuming that that's the problem, because what will happen is that will where it's supposed to spin down there on that spindle, it will stop there, and that spindle will keep turning, and this will stay here. So that's your problem right there, that cog. Now to remove that cog, we need to remove this little part here. You can just see there, just lost something there, but if you can just see that cog there is broken. Just try and get it better on the camera for you. And what will happen is that'll sit like that, and then the spindle at the bottom will keep spinning and it won't grab this, so this will stay stuck there forever. Now there's that little piece there that we need to slide off, then hopefully we should be able to take that part out from there, and we should be good, and then we can get a replacement of this. Right, so we've taken that off with a thin nose pliers. If we can just focus on that a little bit, I'll pull it back a bit so you can see it. I don't know if you can see that. That's basically the sort of can't remember what you call these now for the life of me. They're kind of like a sort of some ring fastener or something like that. But basically that goes on there, and then, well, that's just cracked right off because it's all brittle. So we'll take those bits out, put them there. But obviously to fit the next one, this shaft's going to have to slide out. Don't know if that's a possibility. We may have to take the next one off as well, just to get the new one in. So I'm going to try and get one of them, and then we'll see what that part is, and then we'll put it all back together. So guys, this is what you need here. I don't know if you can see that there. So basically it's a 20 by 23 tooth odometer gear for Porsche, Ford, Bentley. I'm going to put a link to this in the description below, but sometimes I watch videos like this after a year or so, and that link is no longer there. But these are available at the moment from a company abroad called Spares for Us, and that cost £14.40. I've got the part here because I've already bought it, so we're going to fit that now. And like I said, I'll put a link in there, but I will say this part came from it was somewhere abroad, and it did take a week or so, or even 2 weeks for it to come. So I will say, if you're looking for one faster, then have a look somewhere else. But this particular seller does have them. It's from Poland, that's it, and he has a variety of different ones for Porsches, Bentleys, Mercedes. But if I go to purchase that today, it says delivery Wednesday the 18th to Wednesday the 25th of October. So that's about 3 to 4 weeks. So it does take 3 to 4 weeks. So be prepared to wait that time if you're ordering one from them. But it is cheap, it's only £14. So it could be a quick fix, and may solve your problem. So I'm going to carry on to put this on now. I'm going to see if we can get it on. There's the new part there. It's pink, not white, but it's pink, and it's lovely. But the only problem we're going to have here now is that this is going to have to go below it. So I believe we're going to have to take that one off there to get this on, and we may even have to take that one off. So I'm going to carry on, take this one off, and then see, because otherwise, unless we could pull this shaft out, which I don't think we can, and I don't want to force it in case that plastic's a little bit dry and it just cracks. So it's probably easier just to use this thin nose pliers again and take this off. The screwdriver. I guess it's the right fastener for the job, but I think they're an absolute nightmare. I absolutely hate them. That's it. We've got that one off as well there. It's on the end of the screwdriver. Put that there as well so I don't lose it. And now I'm try and take this off, but like I said, this is going to require me to now remove this one here, and that component there is removed just by, I believe, let's have a look at this. Alright, so to remove this sort of longer piece here, if you can see, we need to remove this one to get this one out. So there's a pin in here which we can just hopefully just that's it, the pin's out, you can see there. I'm going to put the pin there as well, and then the first cog will come out. That's the first cog, and we've already taken this off here, so this should just slide off. There you have it, there's that one off. And now we can put ours back on, the new one. There's the new one. And that runs quite nicely on there. Now, only problem with this is it seems to stick out, that front bit there seems to stick out a little bit more, so it's not going to allow us to put the fastener on the end of there. So I think what we're going to have to do is just slightly slide a bit of that off, because this piece is actually a little bit thicker than this. So I think what we're going to have to do is just get a file and file that down a little bit. Obviously these are aftermarket parts, you know, they're not going to be 100% the same, so there's going to be sometimes some modification required. So I'm going to get a file now and just file the top off that, just so that it fits on. So if you can see that now, I've just basically filed the top of that just to flatten it out a little bit, so just so we can get that bracket on, just to hold it on. So I'm going to slide that on there now. Yep. So you can see now there's enough space to put that little this little fixing on. I don't think I'm going to do it with my fingers, so I'm going to get my flat thin nose pliers, and then I'm going to try and slide it on with that. Actually, I think what I'll do is I'll put all the components back on. Now you can see that one has slotted into that one, so as that turns it will turn that. I believe the 2023 is 20 teeth at the bottom and 23 teeth here, which is the exact amount that you need. And then this one slides into here, and obviously let's get that shaft back in. Shaft back in through there. Right, now that shaft's back in there, just push that in so that it doesn't pop out. And there you go. And now that shaft's back in there, as you can see, when I'm turning this top one, they're all turning, which is allowing the mileage to clock up. Okay, nice and simple. Now that's all back in, and that cog there will spin on this one in here. If you can see, just see if we can get a good picture there for you. So there's a round one there which is spinning, and obviously because the teeth were broken, it wasn't spinning on that and it was stuck there, which is why the mileage or the speed was just not moving. Now once this is all back on, that movement is all back to normal. So I'm going to slide all these fixings on. Somebody please tell me in the comments below what these are called. They're like horseshoes, but for now I'm just going to call them brackets. I'm going to slide these fixings back on, brackets back on, or whatever you want to call them, and there you go, that's on there now, and it's lovely snug fit, and we filed that down just enough to get it on, and it's beautiful. Be extra careful when you are filing that down, because it is quite a sensitive little piece, so you know, careful not to break it, otherwise that'll be another £14.40 and another 3 weeks of waiting from my good friend in Poland, who has been nice enough to send me this part over. Thank you very much. And I'm going to slide that other piece back on there now. Just slide that back onto there with the thin nose pliers. Hopefully get it on without breaking anything. If you just, I think the best way to do it is if you can get it onto there, and then you can use the shaft, and you'll just hear it click like that. That's lovely, and there it is. You can see it there. Those fixings are back on, click back on. And yep, that's all back on how it should be. So I'm going to put all this back in, screw all this back in, and we should be good to go. So we'll just slide that back in there, and I'll just make sure that that is sitting on that component that we talked about. Now be extra careful, guys, because the needle that holds the speedometer, this one here, it can be easily damaged when you're putting this on. So be very careful when you're putting this on not to damage that needle, because if that breaks, it will be some fun. And we don't like too much fun. We don't mind a little bit, but we don't like too much. Now this bit fell out at some point whilst we was working. Now I'm assuming that goes there, so I'm going to put that back on there. It might even be the other way around. Yep, that's it. And we're going to pop these 4 screws back in. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I think the hardest bit in doing this, really, to be honest, is taking that front glass off. So I would say be extra careful when doing that. Take your time so you don't damage it. I've done it in a bit of a rush, to be honest, and I think if I had some slightly wider screwdrivers, flathead screwdrivers, I could have done it a bit easier. But it's okay. We've got there in the end, and I'm going to straighten it all back out before I put it on, and you won't be able to tell once it's on. So it should be okay. But just screw these back as much as you can. Without damaging anything, which I'm not very good at. Oh, look at that. I think I've killed something there. Slip of the screwdriver. We got lucky by the looks of it. Not very good. Imagine me as an heart surgeon. It'd be amazing. Definitely cut the wrong arteries. Yeah, ain't got the steadiest hand, but we always manage. Nevertheless, just going to turn this away. It's very difficult to sort of do it upright, so I'm just going to turn this around and do it facing the screwdriver to make it a little bit easier. So that's it, really. I mean, that cog is 99% of the time what goes wrong with these, and it's a 20/23 tooth cog, and you can see there the condition that one was in, and as soon as I took it off, it's fallen to bits. So you can clearly see that there's issues. So that new one came in this little bag, 2023 tooth. I'd actually ordered it a few weeks ago because I was 99% sure that that was the issue. So now putting this back on. Now remember, if this plastic piece here is not attached to your speedometer, because I know in some cases it isn't, then the orientation, you need to make sure you remember how you take it off so it goes back on the same way. Those lights, I believe, do come out sometimes, and they didn't on this one, but they're your indicator bulbs basically. You see here, for your indicators, that's what they are. Right, now, so that's back on, and we're going to put these 2 tiny little screws in, which are a lot of fun to take out, so I'm sure they're going to be just as much fun to put back in. And there you have it. And this starts off down here, normally about put that a bit low. So you need to put this back where you want it to start. So I'm going to put it about there. That's where it was. It was slightly below the 01 there. So that's where I'm going to leave it. I guess I could put it on under the 10, but let's see. Yeah, it still goes up to 140 from there, so I think that's pretty much perfect. That's where it sits, just there. And it stops at 140, so I know that that is pretty much bang on where it should be. So I don't want to put it too high. May still sit at 140, but I think let's have a look. Let's have a look. Let's have a play. Why not? We could start it. So if we start it there, could start it there, and look, it goes further than 140. So you know that's not right. And look, it's stopped at 10 now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop it back lower where it was and listen to myself. There you go, that's where it should be, and it stops at 140, which is perfect. So you have to set the needle back down here way below the zero, and that's where it should be. Okay, so now that's done, you need to tighten those screws back up, not forget those lots of fun screws. So we're going to tighten these two screws back up that hold this face plate in. Right, I'm going to go and find myself a better screwdriver to do this. So guys, I've figured out a better solution. I've got this little screwdriver bit here, and I'm sure most people watching this video will have the perfect screwdriver to do this, but I've got everything, but I just can never find it when I need it. So this has now become the best solution, and look at that, absolutely beautiful. That bit there slides straight into there, and it fits a treat. Guys, if you like what we're doing and you enjoy watching these videos, please like and subscribe. When you subscribe to our channel, hit the bell icon so you see the new videos come straight away. Subscribing to the channel helps a lot more than you can even imagine, and helps us grow, and we can bring you more great videos like this, helping you sort of fix these kind of problems, save you a little bit of money in the long run, and it's a good solution for everyone. So I'm now gonna have a play and put this back on. This is just a case of putting it on now and folding that metal seal all the way around this here. Make sure you put that hole over this reset button, and make sure the reset button's all working as it should, which it is. So that's all good. And yeah, I'm gonna then put this back into the car and I'll take it for a drive. Obviously putting it back in is just a reversal of how we took it out, and if you took some photos of the wires, like I said, then you won't have no issues putting all the wires back in. And I will put it all back in and I'll report back to you in a couple of hours, and we'll see if it was the solution to the problem. So you can see, guys, that's back on now. And what I did was, once I got it back on, I just went around it with a light wooden mallet and just tapped it all just to hold it back on. But it's back on, it looks nice, you can't tell. I know there was a bit of damage there, but you can't tell, it's all nice. Once that's sitting in and the wood's covering it, you won't be able to see anything. There's a few scratches on the sides here which won't come through, hopefully. And it's all back on, it's all nice, it's all tight, sealed. So we're gonna go whack that back in the car, and then I'll let you guys know how we get on. So as you can see, it's all back in now. We put that piece back in there. The clock, actually, like I said, with the wooden trim around it, you can't actually see any of the damage on the black parts, so that's okay. And we've put all these back in, and it all looks good. All the washers are in, these parts have gone back in. Funnily enough, even though that piece was in the box, I still managed to lose one of those little black grub screws, and then later on found it. It must have magnetically touched on with another one of the screws and fell into my little parts box, which has got all the bits in it. So just be careful with them, because if you lose them, they're not going to be very easy to get a replacement. I know you can use other screws that will fit in, but it's nice to have the original bits. that's all done now, so we're going to take it for a drive and then I'll report back to you, see how it goes. So guys, I just took it for a drive, and yes, it's all working. The speedometer is working, the speed, everything is showing. It's clocking up mileage back as normal. So that is the component you needed. It's a 20 by 23 tooth cog, and there's various of them on eBay. I'll put a link in my description to the part that I bought. As you saw on mine, it did need a little bit of modification, but it's not a big deal. It's not very hard to do, and it can be done. And you can contact them beforehand to make sure it's the particular part for your car. And I think this does apply to quite a few other cars as well, Porsches, Bentleys of this era that had the same issue. That certain cog does take a lot of strain because it's the first one, and it does dry up and it breaks. So yeah guys, that's how you fix the speedometer on a Rolls-Royce Silver Spirit, and I'm assuming same on the Bentleys. And if you like what we do, like and subscribe to the channel. If you've got any comments, drop them in the comment section below. I've put everything back as it was. Everything fitted back quite nicely. The best thing about Rolls-Royce cars is they are quite easy to work on because they're hand built. Everything's put together by screwdrivers, nuts and bolts, which is quite simple and quite easy. Whereas a lot of modern cars, it's an absolute nightmare to remove any trims. Everything's so hidden. But as you can see on the Rolls-Royce, the screws are right in front of you. You just unscrew them and off you go. So yeah guys, I'll see you on the next one. We've got a couple more Rolls-Royce videos coming through, so stay tuned, like and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys soon. Thank you very much for watching.